Let's face it, there's a strong chance you're sitting there wishing you had more listings, wishing you had more leads. Well, what if you could pick up the phone, knock out some calls, and generate some red hot listing appointments? Well, today's guest is Joseph Singsheim out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And last year he closed 54 deals, 18 million in volume by being a cold calling machine. And he's here today to share exactly how he does it. So expect to learn how to get set up, what systems to use, where to find the list of the sellers to call, what type of sellers you should be targeting, the whole shebang. And once you're set up, Joseph shares what to say on the calls to actually convert and tricks of the trade to set one listing appointment out of every 20 dials. You are listening to the Real Estate Rockstars podcast, the show for agents who've been around the block and are finally ready to build sustainable, scalable businesses. My name is Shelby Johnson. I'm an Army veteran turned real estate entrepreneur, and I've closed hundreds of transactions as a solo agent, team leader, and real estate investor before hitting complete and utter burnout. And now, years later, I'm making a comeback with my agent business, building from the ground up in a brand new city, Lexington, Kentucky. More on that journey coming super soon. But for today, get ready to learn exactly how to get listings from cold calling. Rockstars, welcome Joseph Singsheim. Joseph, let's pretend I've decided to start cold calling, and I know nothing about cold calling. I have agent experience, so you don't have to teach me about that, but where do I start when it comes to cold calling?
I started with using a company called RedX, the RedX, REDX. And they worked very well for many years. And then we heard about a company called Vulcan 7. Those two companies are pretty proprietary to like circle dialing, expireds, and for sale by owner.
Got it. Step one is to pick RedX, Vulcan 7, one of these platforms in which you can get an account. And then from there, you can pick whether you work with for sale by owners, expired. Like, is that what you do? You're able to select which type within that program?
Yeah, so they have different ones. Like if you get RedX, you can pay for just expireds if you just want to start out. So that's why it's a very good starting out, kind of seeing what you want to do. You can plug and play. Vulcan 7's like, hey, I've been doing this a while. I want for sale by owners. I want expireds. I want to be able to circle dial because I do it all. So it's a little bit more of a higher end type. You can get multiple numbers, so you don't always show up as spam. Those kind of things. You can set stuff like if you dial in to the system, it's one phone number, and then you just start dialing, and it's literally from your computer. You can use your mic, you can use a headset, whatever you'd like.
Okay, gotcha. So we have the platform, we've identified who we want to dial, and you can have through the platform multiple different numbers. So that way you can hit them, the same person, multiple times without them being like, "Duh, stop calling me." And then you also can have that single line or triple line dialer to optimize the efficiency in which you're calling people. Um, and then once you call them, you have the conversation. We'll talk about scripts more detailed in just a second. But you're going to have this conversation and you can set the follow ups in Vulcan 7 or RedX or whatever platform until they are an actual client, hypothetically. And then you pull them into your CRM. Did I get
That's it in a
it?
nutshell. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So now I want to talk about your specific process for doing this. You wake up in the morning, 6 a.m., you start dialing people, or what is the Joseph system for cold calling?
Whoa. So yeah, so I mean, essentially, if you want like the miracle morning, just in a condensed version, it's 4:30. Wake up, work out, get the podcast, which is typically like I don't know, maybe Real Estate Rockstars or something while I'm working out, just to kind of get the brain, flowing, the juices going. I call it brain on fire, and that gets me going. And then it's a little bit of content creation right away in the morning, and then 8 o'clock is when we are able to start calling. We have to stay compliant, so we can't call like the do not call list, those kind of things, which it does actually filter for you, um, unless you want to be a telemarketer, and then you have to pay for being a telemarketer. So I have to say TCPI, whatever, I don't know, that whole thing is compliant. But then at 8 o'clock, we start dialing, and it's literally you just dial in and you hit it going. And I do expireds right away. And then if I don't get a very good feel basically at every 10 dials, I should be getting a contact. And if I'm not getting that cadence, I'm calling them back later. So then before I leave or shut down for the day, I have to make sure to jump back in and hit those expireds again because they just weren't answering that morning.
Real quick. So this is 8 a.m. You're going to start dialing. You're starting with expires. Why are you starting with expireds?
Because they fresh came off the market last night, and that happens at like midnight. So nobody's touched them from midnight to 8 o'clock in the morning, and that's the very first chance you have to say like, "Hey, by the way, do you know your house came off the market?" And sometimes they don't even know it happened. So it's like, "Oh, I had no idea my contract went out," and you're like, "Great!" Like, I mean, not great, but like, hey, like, totally get it. Like, I'm sure you were not, let on and aware. You might be getting a phone call from your agent today, but this time is great. We'd love to sit down and chat with you and just, a lot of people use this time to interview other agents. So it's a good way to get in front of them like instantaneously because they are not under contract anymore.
Gotcha. And when you are calling those expireds, for every 10 dials, every 10 expireds that you're calling, you should be getting one contact. And a contact defined by you is when they pick up.
It's a two-way conversation. So it does count contacts, but I tend to not count if it's just a pickup and could be an FU. It could be a wrong number. I get a lot of those different things. So I don't count those. I only count them if it's a two-way conversation that went further than wrong number or leave me alone, take me off your list, those kind of things. So it has to be real estate related.
Okay. And now you've gone through all of the expireds and it's what time? When you started at 8, roughly what time? And then what do you do?
Yeah, it really depends on how many new expireds came in. So I allot an hour for expired specifically. So if the new expireds only takes me 15 minutes to a half hour, then I'm jumping back to old expireds that have not relisted and I'm dialing those just to see if there's any chance like they're doing some updates and they're possibly relisting or that kind of stuff. So it's just a little bit of a different script. But hey, are you still looking to pop your home back on the market? Love to have a chat. Are you doing any updates to the home? Why did you take it off? Where are you moving? Those kind of questions. So that's the full first hour. And then after we jump in from there, I usually take like a 15-minute mindset break because we just ran a marathon for an hour basically. And then it's jumping into, I typically do circle dialing around our listings or we use another platform called PropStream, which I pull data from and put it into Vulcan 7. And that is like, it could be people lived in their home for 25 years, 30 years, own their home free and clear, those type of things. So we hit those people just to see if they're thinking about moving. And I call it intentional farming, if you will, because I'm not dialing every door. I'm dialing every door that matters, right?
Okay, gotcha. And so that is after your mindset break, you are going to start with circle dialing first around your listings, aka for those who don't know, it is when you have a listing and you literally choose a radius around that listing and start calling the owners in that radius. Is that correct?
Yeah, typically we drop a pin and then it's about 500 doors. And within those 500 doors, we also only dial the ones that make a difference. So I don't want to hit the person that just moved in there 2 years ago. I want 5, 6, 7, 8 years and above.
And with that, you can set those parameters within Vulcan.
Yes. And PropStream. So we use both. Vulcan, I can set parameters in for circle dialing pretty quickly, but I can't go like free and clear or the 25 plus years. They only allow like 7 or 9. I can't remember exactly.
But okay, at this point, you have your circle dialing, your listings. And I want to get into the script for that in a second. So we have the new expired, old expired, we have circle dialing. And just real quick, can you run me through the type of data you're pulling on PropStream? You did a little bit, but just like tell me your favorite lists to pull within that program.
So PropStream, we can go in and pull any two families. So we can look for two families. So if you are an investor, you can call those off market. You can look for 25 and up, meaning I've lived in the house for 25 years or more. I can look for free and clear. Those are just some of the like pull downs that we use a lot of when we're dialing. And then also they just do straight circle dialing. So you can pull it up by zip code, by county, by city, and then, or you can just put the address in and do the same thing, drop a pin and drop the radius around. I think it's 12 cents a lead. And then it's $100 a month for the actual platform. And then we just literally take that list, pull it, convert it, and throw it into Vulkan so we can dial it. So it just has, we just create different folders for the areas that we want to call.
And how much is Vulcan a month?
That one's a little more expensive. I think it's $329 a month.
Do you have an affiliate that you would like to drop right now? Hit up Joseph for a X%
I
discount on
ju-
Vulcan. You
I don't
don't?
think I have an affiliate with them. I
Missed
know Red X I
opportunity.
used to. Yeah,
No, dude, all
might
good.
be.
I'm just giving you shit.
But so they do have like a follow-up plan where you can create like once they come in, they get certain emails. So when they're tagged as a new expired, they get certain emails. So I have what's called the 10 days of gain instead of pain. And it's trying to like find out if they're still looking for offers on their house, that kind of stuff. So we have like a smart plan in behind the scenes that's hitting them up with emails. So it is a little bit more of a robust CRM versus like trying to pull it into a different one and use this one and have all these people everywhere. I like to keep them separate till I've literally had a conversation with them and we've had a two-way conversation and we're thinking about doing business, or I set an appointment, or they want me to follow up, and then I move them into my actual CRM.
Yeah, I actually do the same. Not that I would cold call. This is a different process.
Yeah.
But
No?
okay, so
Maybe you
how
will after you're done.
maybe no, dude. This one's not for me, but I'm interested in it. I'm hyper curious. So at this point, you have done your first hour of the expireds, then we've moved into this other stuff that we just covered. What time is it now? Like how many hours total have we been doing this so far?
Just 2 hours. We had the 15-minute mindset break, and then I take another 15-minute mindset break, and then it's another hour of calling. And typically, I jump right into probate, which is something new that I've added. But it's calling people that have just moved their home into a trust specifically. That's the information it's pulling, and or somebody has this, deceased, and so there's an heir or a trust or a personal representative. So it's very loose knowledge on the house, but we do know that the owner may or may not be alive. So I have gotten people that like, yes, I'm still here and I'm still living in the house when I call, and it's like, okay, great. What were you looking to do with it? Have you thought about selling it? Do you know what your home value is? Just trying to bring some information. So it's in that 15-minute mindset break, I'm literally stopping what I was thinking, stopping what I was doing. I might let the dogs outside if I'm at home, grab a quick snack, and then I have to review my, what I'm saying, my verbiage, my words that work is what I call them, because I need to know what to say and I can't stumble on my words, because if I do that, I'm wasting, somebody on the phone. Essentially, I'm, wasting that opportunity.
Attention span. Right. People are like,
Yeah.
get it out or I'm going to hang up.
Hmm. Right. Yeah.
Okay. How much of this is new versus follow up? Because you mentioned a little bit with expireds, like if you run through them real quick, then you use the remainder of the hour to go back and follow up with old expireds. But for these other categories, how much of it is new versus follow up with people that you've talked to in the past?
Yeah, so we haven't even gotten there. So we've called 3 hours, right? And then it's lunch. So I take a good half hour or so for lunch, and then it's I can either do Sphere next, or I can do my follow up. So it's PCSOI, or I call it FU money, which is follow up money. And it depends on how my morning went, which one I'll do first, because I don't want to do follow up on old leads if I had a really shitty morning. So if I had a really shitty morning, I'm calling my sphere, I'm having fun, I'm shooting out text messages, I'm calling people that I know, like, and trust, and they're like, "Hey Joe, what's going on?" I'm like, "Hey, it's raining outside. I had a crappy morning." They're like, "Oh man." I'm like, "Hey, do you know anybody?" Or we're just having a conversation about what I saw them do on social, and it's fun. And I usually do that for about a half hour to 45 minutes a day, depending on if I have something like a giveaway that I'm doing. I may be doing it for an hour a day, longer conversations, or I try to keep it to a half hour a day, and I try to hit it to calling about 12 to 20 people. And I try to keep that to, I want 6 contacts during that half hour with my sphere. And then the other is FU, or the power hour, I call it. And for 1 hour, I'm calling everybody that I've already have a conversation with and they want me to follow up, a listing that I went on and I have it signed, but we're not ready to go yet. Like all that stuff happens there. So essentially, we're looking at 4.5 hours worth of calling every day.
Dude, that is so much time. Okay, and you mentioned texting. How much is calling
Yeah.
your primary, or with those people who already know you, like, what is your text cadence as opposed to, are you just a caller? Just.
I, so with the first two, I text everybody. So expireds, FISBOs, if I call them. If there's any new FISBOs, by the way, I do throw those into the expireds and I'll call them. I will text them. Um, Circle dialing, I do text if I do know it's like a cell phone number. Sometimes it tells you, sometimes it doesn't. I do not text at this point probates, just because I'm getting into the rhythm of the script and people answering and how they answer. But yeah, as far as like my peeps, text, they pretty much, I know who you are and how you respond. So I hit a lot of people up on Insta. I do a lot of Messenger because a lot of my people live on Facebook. So it's real quick and easy to get in front of them there. Or they're responding to my stuff anyway. So I'm just hitting them up through there and taking it kind of online. And then, yeah, follow up, it's really wherever I got them from. So if they respond via text, or if they were a Facebook lead, and I will follow up through Messenger sometimes because that's how I got a hold of them. So I have them all in there, and it literally tells me what's your favorite, way to be followed up with. And then when I do like giveaways and stuff on the Google sheet itself, it'll say, how would you like me to follow up with you from now on, so I don't catch you off guard? And then they get to pick. So like, you know, Shelby, you could be like, hey, I want you to call me, which you'd never say. You'd be like, hit me up on
Never.
Insta, we'll chat,
Yeah.
you know, right? But like that's what they get to say, and they get to pick, and then that's how I contact them. And if I really, really, really want to have a conversation, it's just, hey, do you mind jumping on the phone for a minute? I got something I gotta get to you. It's a little bit longer than a text would be.
Mhm. Yeah,
But yeah,
I love.
we email, text, call all the time.
Okay, what CRM are you using?
Command, it's called, through KW.
That's right, through KW. Okay, gotcha. And so
It was an early
yeah.
adopter. We pay for it already, so why not just try it? And we've just kind of kept it.
Yeah, and I mean, every CRM works if you work it.
Hmm.
People are
Right.
constantly trying to be like, "But, I just need a different CRM or whatever." I'm like, "Dude, it's probably you. Like, you're the problem. It's not the
Hmm.
CRM." So, you are literally contacting people at a minimum 4.5 hours a day.
Yeah.
That's insane. Very, very cool. Um,
Plus,
sorry? Plus
plus
social.
social.
Okay, with this, when you have, someone's like, "Yeah, come list my house right now." Do you drop everything and go do the like, how structured are you with sticking with this schedule, or do you adjust for certain circumstances?
Yeah. So we use the um, this or that closing. So it's like, hey, Shelby, great. I'd love to sit down with you. When do you typically have available? Is it mornings or evenings? Afternoons or evenings? With this time or this time? And I kind of funnel them into where my schedule works. I don't really like to put them in the morning, but if I have to, it's not that hard because I've been doing it for so long. But maybe a newer agent, it might be tougher because when I've coached newer agents that have been on our team, it's like, oh, that screws up my whole morning. And then it's like, when do I do my calling? And I'm like, well, you just do it in the afternoon. We call them, and my coaches taught me, it's there's flex, freedom, and I can't remember the other one right now, but it's, so those are my flex days and not my freedom days, and it's not my regular work day. So I call what matters. So I will call the new expireds either in the morning before I go out or as soon as I get back, because those matter. And then I may call around one of our newest listings or someplace where I was getting a lot of pickups, because those matter. And then obviously my sphere matters. So I'm going to hit those up real quick. So I'm just shortening the times, or I'm calling the ones that matter. And then obviously the follow up. I mean, like you said, if you're not using your database, or not working your database or your CRM. So it's telling me, hey Joe, you have these to follow up with, so I have to do those, of course. And then any other follow up that I have in my calendar or through Vulcan, that's telling me like, hey, by the way, call this person. And Vulcan actually emails me with my follow up, so it's even better. So it's kind of like a to-do list, like hit that email, so I'm not doing extensive, but I'm hitting every one of those. And it's called a flex day because now I've scheduled something in the way of, otherwise all my appointments are after everything happens. So I schedule them all at the end of the day.
What's a freedom day, real quick?
Freedom days are days that I'm not untouchable.
Oh.
So I put my email responder on, or it's, a Saturday, and typically I don't tend to schedule things on a Saturday because it's with my family. And I don't want to be touched during those days. So again, if you place your big rocks in the stream goes around them, right? So you have to be able to look at your schedule and go, where are my flex days? Where are my freedom days? And what are my actual work days, right?
Someone listening to
That's a
this
little
might
bit of
be
the coach in me.
no, I can tell that you've been through a lot of coaching, and I can tell that you are a coach because of the things you say and the things you take for granted, where I'm like, "Hey, not everyone listening understands that." Let's just pause real quick. Um, okay, but hypothetically, there's someone out there and they're a little overwhelmed. They're like, "Dude, I don't even know how to call one of these lead types. There's for sale by owners, expired, circle prospecting, probate." Like their head is swimming right now. So, if you were starting over, would you just focus on one? And if you would, what is the one that you would focus on?
Yeah, so when I started, there was a team in our office. This was like a traditional brokerage. And they would get all ready and they'd print out everything, back in the day. This was 13 years ago. And they'd go in and they'd close the door, and I'd see them putting their headsets on and stuff and getting set up and everything. And I was like, wow, those guys are cool. And they actually would let you like schedule a day to come and sit and listen to them. And they primarily did expireds. Um, I mean, I've had people that door knocked. I've had people that just did circle prospecting. I've had people that just did Sphere, and they called Sphere at a very high level and connected with them, and then set appointments from their Sphere to talk to them, and set appointments with people from their Sphere to talk to them. So it's really like, what are you comfortable with, and what's your niche? And then you go from there. It may not be cold calling, but like, could you use the same habits that I've created to do social media? Could you use the same stuff that I do to door knock or circle prospect? So it's really, I wouldn't tell anybody to do one thing. I would literally say, what calls to you, what speaks to you, and then let's kind of formulate a plan around that. But have the cadence and do the things. I think there was somebody just on your podcast that said like, hey, by the way, you only have to do these couple things and it's going to bring you like a whole bunch of money, and they're just going to drop the bag off at your door, I think. And I'm still waiting for that.
Same, same.
But seriously, like if you do the things and you work your CRM and it tells you what to do, I mean, it's easy. Real estate is simple, not easy, right? Like you still have to put the work in, but it's just doing those small things that are going to make it happen.
I can hear so many objections. After you speak to so many agents over the years, like I literally can hear all of their objections in my head right now. Which we may dive into in a second, but I don't want to derail us. What I want to talk about is that first line, or like your favorite part of the script, because now that we understand who we're calling, when we're calling them, how to find the data, we're sitting down and they're like with their, phone in their hand, being like shaking probably and sweating. Oh, I don't want to call. So, do you have any advice on the opening line or ways to, besides chanting in your robe in the dark?
With candles, yeah.
Just kidding. They should do that too, huh?
Yeah, I mean, really, you have to know your scripts because you have to know where the conversation may go and what you're going to say. But I've found that rapport building is huge and motivation is huge. So if you answer the phone and you are not in a good mood, and you tell me like, are you a real estate agent? I'm not going to have the same opening I'm going to have as if you're bubbly and excited, and maybe I'm the first agent on that got through to you, right? So it's like, hey, is this Shelby? Hey, are you the homeowner at, if I can't pronounce your name, right? Like, I don't want to mess anything up, but I also may like make them laugh. And that's kind of like where my personality shines through. So you have to almost like bring and put yourself in their shoes. And then they're like, hey, you're like the fifth real estate agent to call me. I'm like, man, the early bird gets the worm. And I guess I didn't call you soon enough. I do apologize. Uh, are you still looking to get an offer on your house or whatever? Like, I still want to try to sound different, but like, you just smiled when I said that, and they're probably going to do the same thing on their phone, on the other end of their phone. So it's like anything I can do to kind of break down that barrier. Because if you're old enough to remember going into like a Best Buy or a store where they had salespeople, is like, can I help you find anything? And that's literally how we come across. And it's like, no, so it's like, how can I, what are they looking for to sell their house? What do they want in offer? So essentially, that's what I want to provide them. Like, if I could bring you an offer in the next 30 days, or were we looking to move? What happened? Why is it off the market? So it's really about the questions that you're asking, and in the order that you're asking them changes based on the person that answers the phone, whether they're gruff, angry, upset, the wrong person. And even then, I might say, hey, by the way, you have a real estate agent on the phone. Have you ever thought about selling your house? So
The the line about adjusting based on their tone immediately, that's something that I don't think anyone's brought up on here before and is very smart. I was wondering, can we play a little game? Let's play a little game where it's like, if I'm angry, okay, so like you call me and I'm like, what do you want? Who is this? Something like that. What do you say?
yeah. So I would say, hey Shelby, it's Joe. I'm a local real estate agent right here in Waukesha. Sounds like I might have caught you at a bad time. Did you know your house came off the market today?
Yes.
Okay. And were you the one that took it off?
No,
No. So your agent took it off for you?
I guess.
Okay. So sounds like you just weren't quite aware of what was going on. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
So yeah, we kind of go that route where like now the agent's the bad guy,
Gotcha.
right? And like, so wouldn't you
Okay.
like to be more in, charge of what's happening with your home? Sounds like you're kind of unaware of what's going on, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So we're
Got
playing on pain immediately with that one, right? Because I found and pulled out a little bit of information, and pain drives people. What's the pain point, or what's their motivation? Those are the two key things when calling expireds. So if they're like, no, we took it off, we didn't get anybody, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, where were you moving if you did get an offer, right?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. It's like, how are you pulling that out? If motivation and pain are the factors that you're looking for, what are you using? What tools are you using to pull that out of me?
Yeah, so the biggest thing when you go sit down, and you used to actually have to go sit down to plan your cruise or your vacation, right? Before you just went on like Verbo or whatever. Um, but even then, like, what are you doing in your mind when you're like, we're going to Florida, or we're going to the Caribbean, or we're going to the Keys, whatever? You're painting a picture in your mind of what you want to happen. And if you're going to move, which you just moved, you painted a picture of what you thought maybe the house would look like, the area, you went there, you maybe looked it up online. They have that picture. So why not paint that picture again to get them re-excited and reignited for where they want to move? So it's like, where were you moving? Like, let's say this house closed today and I'm calling you to congratulate you. Where were you going to go? That's exactly the line that I would use. And then they tell me, and I go, so then what's stopping you from going there right now? Well, my home didn't sell. Yeah, exactly. And like, it looks like you were up for 30 days, and your agent that had it listed, what did they tell you, went wrong? So now we're going back to the pain, right? And they're thinking like, oh, my agent sucks because they couldn't sell it in 30 days, whatever, whatever. So I mean, a lot of times it's my agent's great, they did nothing wrong. And I say, okay, great. Well, I closed 12 homes in the last 30 days with my team. Could I show you something different in between now and then that might be, trigger your home to sell and get you to where you want to go? Sounds like you wanted to be there yesterday, right? So it's just in how you can combine those then and put them together. And then they say, well, yeah, I guess I have a few days, right, till my contract goes back on. I'm like, you have until you tell them yes, right? So let's meet. That's typically what most people do. So it's just kind of a matter of a fact way of going in and saying this is what we should be doing.
Well, and all done by questions. That's the thing too, where
Hmm.
instead of you telling like some newer agents will be like, "Well, I can do this, I can do this." Well, that doesn't matter until you have gotten the questions out of them, till you've pulled out those pain and motivation and you've done like cuz I was writing it down, you did 3 at least 3 questions in a row before you even asked the next question was like, "Would you be open to doing, if I could show you something different that might work for you?" So yet another question which probably leads right
Hmm.
into, when they say yes, and then you hit them with that funnel of questions where it's like, okay, great, afternoons or mornings, weekdays, weekends, this time, you know what I mean? You funnel them right
Correct.
into it.
Yeah, I always bring the analogy up when I'm teaching or coaching new agents to cold call, or I guess just have better conversations. It's if you drove your car into a workshop, a shop, and you got out and the guys rushed around your car and started taking your tires off and had it up on the lift and they were changing your brakes out. And you were like, dude, I brought this in here for an oil change, right? Like, that's a new agent trying to spew everything they know onto the person, whether it's a buyer agency, a listing appointment, a phone call, whatever it is. It's like, you have all that information for a reason, but you don't have to tell them about it immediately. You have to find out why. So you have to ask better questions, right? And it's go three deep is pretty much what we've been trained on, or my motto is at least three questions if I could. And then I can move on with figuring out, like, you could even say like a doctor, like if they just came in and started taking blood and you're like, whoa, 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 my knee hurts, man, I just wanted to have you look at it, right? Like, that's not the way we should be practicing. So if you ask better questions, go three deep, find out their motivation, find out their pain, and then couple those together, and then you can start administering how you could possibly help them.
It's true. So you mentioned that, one of the lines you use is, could I show you something different that might work for your house? What are some other ways? Because is the goal, I assume, to set the appointment, to meet them at their house?
Mhm.
Is that the goal?
Yes.
Okay. Do you do anything like I've heard agents like, "Oh, I have a buyer. I'd love to market this forward. I'd love to market it on my social media." Or do you do a bunch of different ways to get in the house, or do you have like a set specific few that you use?
Well, Shelby, it looks like something happened during the time that you were on that caused your home not to sell. And essentially, what I'm going to come out and do is find out what those reasons were. And then we're going to discuss those and find a different path and see if that couples with what I do and see if I'm a good fit. And if not, we're just going to part ways as friends. And I'm going to go about my business and help somebody else. Right. But if we do decide to be a good fit and what I say makes sense, are you willing to make a move and go forward and list your house with me? Right. Like, that's essentially how the conversation will go. And then I do set up for a secondary conversation before I come out. One to say, like, hey, are you actually going to be there when I show up? Because, my time's valuable. But I go through a couple different questions, just asking them about like their motivation, why they think the home didn't sell, what they think do you think it was properly priced? Anything about the house that I may not know or didn't stand out during your previous listing, things that you possibly think went wrong with the house while it was on the market. Do you like open houses? By asking all those questions, now I don't come in and you're like, hey, I'm going to do a lot of open houses and that's going to sell your house. And they're like, well, I hate open houses. So now I know where their house, they think it should be priced here. So now we're going to, instead of me telling them their price is off, I'm maybe bringing comparables to show them, like, and then they can self realize, hey, yeah, my house doesn't actually look like 600,000. You're right. Like, so now they're self realizing these things. So if I can preempt that by asking a few questions again with the questions, the more I know, the more I can actually facilitate how I work for them and with them, right? If I don't know anything, I'm just going to come in there and do, how we started in 12 years ago. It was like, here's my stats. This is what I do. And you just went through like this whole list of stuff while they sat there and stared at you like a timeshare.
Yeah. Like no one cares. Um,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's a lot different in how we do things now,
Yeah, one
which
of
is
my
better.
favorite sayings is the selling is asking, not telling. Boom, nailed it.
There you go. Hmm.
With quick question, you said secondary conversation. When is that happening? Where? How? What?
I usually ask them, "Do you have time right now for a few
Gotcha.
questions?" And in my CRM, the Vulcan 7, with my script, I do have a link which will go right to a Google sheet that pulls up for me, which I have all my questions in, and I just type their name into it, and then I start asking the questions one by one by one. So it's just real quick, simple, easy. It's easy for me to pop up. I don't have to have it on my screen. But then I can just, it throws up and then I can go to it later so I can keep making my phone calls and then come back. If they don't, I go, hey, if you don't have time right now, I totally get it. Is there a better time that I can reach out to you to go through these questions? Or would you mind if I just sent you the link and you filled it out yourself? But I do need it before we meet. Right. And then typically about 80% of the time they'll fill it out on their own, which is great. I'm fine with that. It saves me time. The other, 20%, it's maybe an older generation or they want to do it right there on the phone. So it's just easy, get it done real quick.
Yeah, I'd wanna do it on the phone. That's
Yeah.
okay, great. Got it, and last question on this. Do you set expectations for how long your listing appointment is? Like, are you gonna like, "I'm gonna be there for X amount of time," or no?
No, if they ask, they go about how long is this going to take? I'm like, it's really self-guided, so it's up to you. I'm just here to bring the information for you and then answer any of your questions. So I'm there for you as an advisor and a guide. So I mean, they've taken 15 minutes and some people have kept me in their house for an hour.
Okay, at this point, we have a really tactical step-by-step way that someone could do exactly what you're doing. Of course, without the all the reps that make you so great. But they'll figure that out. So what else do you think is really important for listeners to know now if they are jumping into trying to replicate your process?
Um, I mean, other than the tools, it's really tracking your numbers. I track it just via Google Sheet. How long was I on? How many dials did I make? How many contacts? And then how many appointments did I set in which category? So then I can just be a little bit more deliberate in calling. So, I mean, like right now, I know every 9.5 dials, I will get a contact. And my contact to appointments is right around 46%, which is not that good. It's just hard. It's getting a little harder on the call side, but the cool thing is a lot of those will come to fruition in the FU or the power hour. So it's like I may have a contact, but it might go then to follow up. So it's really tracking the follow up because I might have already signed them and we're going to be going later or the it's yeah, it's hard to track 100%, but knowing your numbers helps. It's kind of like door knocking. If I knock 100 doors and I get 2 appointments out of it, and out of those two I hit one, so to know that it helps because those days that you aren't hitting those dials, it's like okay, great, got to switch over to something else because one, it's mindset. You got to keep that there. And then, I mean, real estate's a contact sport. So, how many contacts can I make and how fast can I make them? And how many people can I get in front of to bring my message?
Remind the listeners of the tool that you brought for them. What is it again?
So, the tool is I have a whole bunch of different things that kind of get you started in lead gen in one way, shape, or form. So, I have the 0 to 100 challenge, which is just getting on the phone and trying to make 100 contacts in a day. Yeah, I know. It sounds a little bit crazy. There's the 75 Hard Agent Edition, which is a couple different ways, right? Yeah, so if you're into working out, 75 Hard. But this is the Agent Edition. So it is writing cards, dialing, texting, CMAs, those kind of things, voice to voice. Um, and there's a 10-day social media challenge, which we do. There's goal setting pillars, so you can have your different goals and then what it takes. There's 5 strategies in each one. It's part of Keller Williams that we do, and I just essentially copied it and popped it in there. And then there's words that work, which is scripts. And then there's your win or wellness, intentionality, and nurturing for yourself, so you can foster good relationships, mentality, intentionality, and wellness during this whole process. Because if your mindset isn't there, you're not going to be there.
Dude, you gave us a lot, a
Is that
lot.
cool?
So
Is that enough? Yeah.
that's barely enough. We will accept. So, listeners, if you want any of that, go to realestaterockstarsnetwork.com, go to the toolbox and download it. But real quick, Joseph, you coach, right? Are you taking on clients?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, if you also would like to be coached by Joseph, you can reach out to him.
Yeah.
Where is
So
the best place to find him? Yeah.
So if you download that, my website's on there. There's a QR code on there as well. I made it really easy. Just go to my name, which is on the screen, Joseph Singsheim, .com. That's literally where you go, and you can check me out as a real estate agent if you want to connect. I'm in Wisconsin, and then also as a coach, you can click that button and book a call right on my calendar or through the website. And then if you want it, also at Joseph Singsheim as my Insta handle.
Yeah, perfect.
On the gram,
On the
as you say.
gram. That's right. And guys, you know the drill. I say this all the time. If you want to hang out with me and the owner of the show, we are The Shelby Show and Aaron Amuchastegui on the gram, Joseph. So yep, come and stop over and say hi to us there. And otherwise, that is all we have for today. Unless, Joseph, did I miss anything? Is there anything that you were dying to tell our listeners that we did not cover?
I don't think so. That's it.
And with that, that is all we have for today. Real estate rock stars, thanks for listening.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.